everybody! Hi, Dr. Nick! So, I've been racking my brain trying to figure out whether or not I even wanted to respond to this. Because those people who haven't been following the Naked Army don't know who Naked Army Nathan is. So, thank you, Trisha, for choosing my topic. And, all the responses that I've seen, it's just, for me personally, I guess to answer your question, Trisha, well, first of all, let me say that this is something I've been struggling with for a long time. Self-worth issues are like one of my biggest weaknesses, and it's something that I've spent years on end dealing with just to get to this point that I want to love myself. And it'll still be more and more years of struggles. Like, I have deep emotional trauma, which has led to a lot of significant psychological issues, which will continue to haunt me probably for the rest of my life. I will continue to work on it. But in the meantime, the one thing that I can say that I've always been proud of myself, the one thing I appreciate about myself is this. Well, I have two very significant talents. One of them, well, actually technically three. Well, one of them can kind of take on two different forms, and I guess it's just like adaptability, the ability to learn and grow. Like, some people have a hard time picking up anything, and me, if it's something brand new, I might struggle with it a little bit. But in any situation, if I want to do something, if I want to learn about it, all I really have to do is try hard enough and work on it. And and it may take a few years to get to this point, but if I try hard enough, I will eventually reach a level that, like, it feels natural. That's one of the best things about me. In any situation I find myself in life, I can manage to fit in. Whatever predicament I may be in, whatever job I may hold, like, I'm capable of adjusting to this situation and, like, making myself successful. And that's one thing I definitely appreciate about myself, that ability of just instant evolution, to just be able to adjust to whatever. And it's made my life a lot easier. I could have struggled a lot more than I have with the situations I've been in, and I could have found myself just much worse place than I am right now. But I'm in a good place in my life because I'm able to adjust on the fly and pick things up quickly. And I know there are a lot of people in this world who don't learn quite as quickly as me, and it's harder for them to adjust. And so I definitely appreciate that much about myself. I'm a smart guy who's capable of pulling off just about anything. Then the only thing that ever really stops me from doing something is just a desire to work hard enough at it. And on the other hand, the one thing that I always appreciated the most about myself is my imagination. I have an overactive imagination, which in some ways it's kind of been a hindrance to life, because it's so easy for me to just, like, escape into the room, and then, but because I don't have to deal with my problem. I can just hide out in my brain and just go on these crazy adventures and just not have to deal with anything. And because I've always been able to do that as I've gotten older, and there are problems that don't go away and I actually do have to deal with them, it's made it more difficult. But, it's like the most satisfying and fulfilling thing in my life, just being able to create these entire worlds and go on a fantastic adventure anytime I fucking feel like it. And that's for me. I've written thousands of stories in my life. I write songs, movies, TV shows, a book that I'm working on. I've written anime style stories, comics, some web series, just a lot of different stuff. And I never stop writing. And that's one thing I'll say. I am one of the most creative people on the planet. I'm great at telling stories. Also, that's one thing that I'm adamant about. I don't like being called a writer, because I think being a writer takes a certain, like, passion for words and dedication to the craft, which I do not possess. I am a storyteller. I like creating stories. I like creating characters. I like molding things. I went to college and took a lot of writing intensive courses so I can learn the rules of writing, so I can better express the ideas that are in my brain. But I am not a writer. I am a storyteller who learned how to write. so that it would be easier to create my stories. But I think that's one thing that I definitely always loved about myself, the ability to just create all these new worlds. There are so many people that, they have to go to the movies, they have to read a book, they have to do all these things in order to feed their imagination. But me, like, I had trouble shutting my imagination up. Like, it just won't stop. So that's one thing that I do love, and working on a new story is the most satisfying thing in the world. And it's also a little sad when you can work on a story that ends up somehow taking years, and then you finish it and you're like, no, my life is over. Now what do I do with all my free time? Oh, new story. It's oddly satisfying, oddly disappointing at the same time. But yeah, because right now I'm currently working on comic book stories. I got a couple of original characters that I created, and they all exist in their own self-sustaining universe, which took a few years to craft and to weave their stories together so it all blends into just one big planet thing that they exist on. And I've also in my spare time sometimes I'll work on other stories that other people have started. Like doing a Mighty Ducks storyline. I'm working on one of those from time to time. I've got a Justice League Avengers crossover, like with Spider-Man and Batman teaming up to take down Joker and the symbiotes. I've also got my own Justice League storyline that's been going on for literally years. It started when Dark Knight Rises came out because I was disappointed in that movie, which is sad because I went into the movie knowing it was going to suck, and I was still disappointed compared to how much bad I thought it was going to be. And then I decided to write my own Batman story. Then they made Man of Steel, and I was like, ooh, I'll write a Superman story to go with this Batman story. Then they announced Justice League, and I was like, ooh. Long story short, that's a story that I don't ever actually plan on finishing. It's one of those projects that will always, I don't ever see it seeing the light of day, but it's something that's always gonna be fun to just shut everything else down and just work on that for a few hours a day, So yeah, that's how I appreciate myself. Just a couple of the basics. So yeah, that's my naked truth for the week. How are you doing? I think I had an outro. I keep forgetting it. Anyways, bye.